Here we are going into week 11. Josh Mancuso, brother Caleb.
What's
What's
going
up?
on?
How you doing, son?
I'm doing good. What a week. What a week. Dark mode win over Kentucky. First college
Woo-hoo!
football playoff rankings. Penn State
Yes,
goes down.
a lot of action. A lot of action in this week 10 and now going into week 11. So we'll let all the people come in here joining in. If you're coming in live now, I see people popping in. Welcome to the Honorable Mention Sports live show with Josh and brother Caleb. This is our college football rankings and pick'em show. We need a great name for this show. So if anybody has an idea,
Let's
but
hear
we'll
it.
just keep going with what we've got. But drop it in the chat there. Make sure you guys comment what you're thinking today. Make sure you're following Honorable Mention Sports. Don't just follow me on the socials. Follow Honorable Mention Sports right there. That's where all the good content for sports is coming out. Drew Bedard, our buddy's got an NFL show on Monday nights typically that is fantastic, and because he knows a lot about NFL more than Caleb and I do. So make sure you're
He
checking
sure
that
does.
out. Got some people coming in. Scott, what's up? Kimberly, how y'all doing? Good. Thanks for coming in and commenting. So, yeah, let's mention real quick. Caleb and I were both at the Tennessee-Kentucky game there in Knoxville. Caleb, what'd you think? What was your takeaways from the experience, both inside and outside the stadium?
Well, the first thing that was nuts was being with my brother, who apparently now is a celebrity, because everywhere we went, people were coming up to you like crazy. Hey, you look just like that guy that makes the funny videos when he does a mascot thing, man. You know that guy? Just like nonstop everywhere we went. And of course, we were with your daughters, who are they're kind of low high school age, and they were like, "Oh my god, Dad, you're so embarrassing to me. You're not funny."
Yeah.
So that was an experience all to itself before the game even started.
It's so true. They're like, "Oh, Dad, you're so embarrassing. It's awful." I'm like, well, one day, one day you'll be glad.
That's right. That's right.
You'll be glad.
So, we talked last week that I wasn't a huge fan of dark mode, but wow, I'm 180 on that. After going again, God, that was so cool. The intro to the game, when they turned the lights off and the music started going, it was like, God, you could just feel it. It was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. As the end of the game itself, Tennessee looked pretty good. Even on offense in the first half, they looked good. They moved the ball almost 500 yards. I think they had 470 yards offense. So this narrative that they're not a good offensive team is not true. They're just not capitalizing in the first half. And, of course, they got down into the second half and looked a whole lot better. But what do you think?
I agree. Great assessment. I mean, I was shocked at how quickly Kentucky came out the gate running and being able to move the ball on Tennessee's defense. I didn't see that coming. Kentucky, honestly, I feel bad for Kentucky. They have a good team. I really think they have a good team.
They do.
They just cannot cross the line to win the games that matter. They did beat Ole Miss, I think, right? So they can do it. Like, they've proven they can do it, but they just aren't doing it. And they're just not quite there. But the Vols looked good. They just keep finding ways to win games. I'm just glad Tennessee scored in the first half and didn't make it four straight games of a scoreless first half. So, it was good to see that, and then see us kind of again hold strong, score 20-something points, I think, and win the game. I think a stat, someone could fact check me on this. I think a stat that I heard is that Tennessee has not given up more than 20 points in a game. Is that true?
That's true. The most they've given up, I think, is 18.
18 or 19 to Arkansas, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Look, Mom is watching.
Mom's watching. There we go.
Hey, Mom. She's got some great football knowledge. She's going to drop in here in just a minute. I believe it. We need to have Mom on the show. Let her give us her rankings. What she thinks. So, all right, we're into a great weekend. Everybody's in here. We got a pretty good crowd. That's exciting. Let's get to it. Again, if you guys have comments or questions, put them in the chat. Caleb and I would love a great name for our show as we do this every week. It's going to be every week until the end of time. So
yes, until the end of time.
Till the end of time. So make sure that you are give us some ideas for a good name for the show. Make sure you're following Honorable Mention Sports on all the social media channels. Check out honorablemention.com. Okay. All right.
Oh, here we go with the Ohio State stuff. I can't wait for this.
The Ohio State. Joel's
Oh,
already in the chat here. Joel, talking about the Ohio State. All right. So let's go ahead and pull up my top 25 for this week. And we'll see if Joel and others are happy with where I've got Ohio State. So Oregon number 1, Georgia number 2, Miami 3, Ohio State 4, BYU 5, then Indiana, Texas, Tennessee, Penn State, Notre Dame, top 10. SMU,
Ooh.
Alabama, running up my top 12. Joel with the eye roll here. I see. Good. Well, all right. So 4th, I feel like I've been tough on Ohio State, but they were able to beat Penn State in a kind of a low scoring, hard fought match. I got them up there at 4. I think that is fair. I think if anything, I think I think Georgia at 2 might be too high. I'm gonna be honest, because when it's so funny how you look at these types of things and you think, okay, you start doing some math. Okay, Kentucky Georgia barely beat Kentucky, right?
Yeah,
barely. I mean,
about
Kentucky almost had him. All right. Tennessee beat Kentucky more solidly. All right. Alabama beat Georgia.
Yep.
Tennessee beat Alabama.
That's right.
So could there be an argument that Tennessee would be ranked above Georgia? Probably.
Maybe.
I mean, if you're looking at it from that perspective, but you could also say, well, I mean, there's just so many combinations of what goes into these types of things. So it's all subjective. It's all like, I mean, I think bottom line is these are the best teams. You can kind of put them in whatever order you want to put them in. But what are your takeaways here from my top 25 before we get into the only ones that matter, which is the college football playoff rankings that came out last night?
Yeah, so I like where you put Tennessee ahead of Penn State because I don't see Penn State hasn't won a big game. They've just lost. All they have is good losses. So yeah, I almost think Penn State could even be too high there. Everybody else seems to be in a pretty good spot. Ohio State, they had a good win at Penn State, but we'll talk more about that when we get to the college football playoff. Miami looks scary. Miami's not getting a quality competition in the SEC, but they certainly look scary. Georgia, we'll see what happens with Georgia. They've got 2 big games coming up here in short order in the next 2 weeks. What I think is interesting is that if Tennessee's defense is very, very good. I think if Tennessee's offense was as good and their defense had struggled, I think you'd see Tennessee up there in the top 5 easily. Where I think also if Georgia's defense was as good as Tennessee's, people would be raving about it, like how great Kirby Smart is and everything. So I think there's some serious hypo bias going on with the polls because Tennessee's got a good defense. When it comes to Georgia, man, they're getting lucky with Carson Beck. Well, he's thrown, I think, 3 picks in 3 straight games.
He's got 9 picks in 3 games, something like that. He's struggling. Majorly.
They are not going to go 2-0 the next 2 weeks if he throws 3 more picks in each game.
No,
there ain't no way.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. I like it. So as we move down a little bit, I like where you got Army. I think that's appropriate. I mean, they've played a weak schedule, but they're winning, and I like that.
They're killing people. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, I think when you talk about the teams that don't have a tough strength of schedule, that's a valid point. But if you're just killing teams the way Indiana is, that's what got Indiana so high. They could be higher than 6. Indiana could be 3 or 4. I mean, they are incredible. They've not won a game by less than 14 points. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. So anyways, let's see.
What about South Carolina? I like South Carolina top 25. They've lost some tough games. A huge win for them last week.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to look at like when I rank them, I'm trying to look at who are the best teams right now. Like when I think about who might be over South Carolina in some other rankings, maybe Louisville or somebody else like that. I think South Carolina is a better team. Their record doesn't show it. They're 5-3, I think, or 6-3. I don't know, but their record doesn't show it. But I think they're better. I think they beat Colorado if they play head to head. I think they beat a lot of teams.
I do too.
Yeah.
We got some people a little disgruntled about Alabama at 12. What's your thoughts on Bama at 12?
Tell me how Alabama is 12. Well, they got 2 losses. I mean, now I'm not sure if you're talking about, should they be higher or lower? I think that's an appropriate rank. I think right now Alabama should be on the verge of the playoff rankings. They ought to be right. They sort of like prove it to us that you are as good as you think you are and say you are, Alabama, to be in that top 12. But they're also one loss away from being, 24th. So I think that's a good spot for them, right on the line. Austin,
they're right on the line.
What's Austin got for us?
Austin said Tennessee hasn't played an offense with a heartbeat, so how good is the defense? Really, you're right, Austin. Alabama's offense doesn't have a heartbeat with Heisman Trophy contender Jalen Hurts. So, okay.
Jalen Milroe. Yeah.
Sorry, Jalen Milroe. Hurts was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a lot of Jalen's playing quarterback at Alabama. That's all they do. They just recruit Jalen's, from what I understand. Yeah.
But we will see against Georgia. So, I mean, they got a point. Kentucky doesn't have a very good offense.
Yeah.
They don't at all. Oklahoma does not have a very good offense. In fact, Oklahoma doesn't even have an offense. They just have a defense that tries to play both ways. So,
that's just like Oklahoma's terrible.
NC State, not good. So, yeah, I mean, you got Alabama was the one team that I would say has a solid offense.
I agree. Here's a question I thought was interesting. Jarek Hartzell, thoughts on if A&M wins out until Texas, but loses to Texas, can they still get into the playoff? I don't think so. I don't think, because that will make them 9-3 at that point, right? So if A&M wins until Texas, I think if they go 9-3, they're not in. I think that's the case of them getting bumped in favor of a Boise State or SMU or Army or somebody else like squeaking in there. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw an interesting stat on ESPN today that said almost every year of the college football playoff, a team with 3 losses has been ranked 10th, as low as 10th. So
wow, okay,
yeah, so that is a really interesting point when you're looking at maybe there could be a 3-loss team that gets in. I don't think there will be, especially because you've got the automatic qualifiers. There's 4 teams automatic qualify. But I thought that was eye-opening a little bit, that maybe it's not completely over if you have 3 losses. I don't know. It's to be determined.
Yeah, I agree. Well, all right. So that's my top 25, which again doesn't matter. It's just how I see the world, and people love it or hate it. But we had a big night last night in America. I mean, the college football rankings were released.
That's right.
And everybody's excited. So we're going to pull those up now. We'll talk about, it's pretty exciting. I mean, to see these first rankings, and a lot can still change, obviously, but it's cool to see what would be if today the playoffs started. This is what we would have, right? You would have Oregon number 1, Georgia number 2, Miami number 3, and then BYU would be number 4 because of they would be the Big 12 champion right now, which is like everybody predicted, BYU would be the Big 12 champion.
Yeah, exactly.
So Caleb, what do you make of this? What do you agree with? Do you think the committee got it right?
I like Oregon at 1. They've looked like the best team so far. Georgia at 2 is fair. I think you could put Georgia, Miami. You could slide them around there. All that's going to come out in time. I like BYU at 4. I know they're projected to get the bye because they're going to win the conference championship. They've also had some really good wins. They've had some really good wins. Unlike some of these Big Ten teams that are surviving on no good wins, BYU's has got some really good wins. The team I take the most issue with is Indiana at 9. I know they've looked good, but they have played absolutely nobody. I mean, 0.00. In fact, if you look at their schedule, I mean, name an SEC team that would not be undefeated there. I mean, maybe Auburn.
Yeah.
Maybe SEC. How many teams are in the SEC? 14 now?
No, there's like 18. I think 18 teams in the SEC.
Yeah, okay, so maybe 2 or 3 are not undefeated on Indiana's schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, Indiana is.
That's case in point with South Carolina in my rankings. South Carolina would be close to undefeated, I think, if they had Indiana's schedule.
Absolutely, and also Penn State. Who's Penn State? Yeah. I mean,
I think they beat Illinois.
Okay,
that's a decent win, but beyond that, no,
it's not good. So I saw today where Penn State and Indiana combined have 1 win over a team in the top 40, according to ESPN's FPI combined. And that is the Penn State versus Illinois win. And honestly, if you put Illinois playing a schedule like Georgia's playing, what's Illinois? I mean, like really. So I don't know. I'm not sold on Penn State or Indiana. Those are the 2 that I've got the biggest issue with. But how about you?
I tend to agree with you a little bit. I am high on Indiana just because I'm a little bit of they quote can't help it that's their schedule. They're just
That's
this is
right.
the schedule they've been given, and they're out there just killing people. It would be different if and I think there's maybe a more of an argument to be made from what you're saying for Miami, because Miami has won some close games, and I've been
Yeah.
high on Miami because they look so good because they have Cam Ward, and as long as they have Cam Ward, I think they're going to keep winning. Not against maybe everybody, but I think they could beat some good teams as long as they've got Cam Ward playing well. But Miami's not. They've won close games against teams that aren't that great. Indiana has just killed people. I mean, you look at again, my argument for having Indiana above Ohio State for a while was because Indiana beat the snot out of Nebraska, a team that was ranked for a little bit, and then Ohio State gets them and struggles with them and barely beats them. So I think when you compare it like that, okay, Barrett's, and I think Indiana gets gets kicked in the teeth of reality by Michigan this weekend. We're going to pick that game a little bit later.
We will. We'll see. I don't know.
So, but I'm with you. I think I was interested in Greg McElroy last night saying that he was, kind of upset about BYU being, I think they were 9th, but they're 4th in the bracket because they're the Big 12 champion, right?
Yeah.
But they were ranked 9th, which means if they lose the Big 12 to who was not Utah, who's another Big 12 team right now that's rocking it. Anyways, whoever SMU's ACC now. It's my mind's drawing a blank at the moment. Big 12, if they lose the Big 12 championship, then 9 they could be kicked out of the 12 possibly. And he's saying that wouldn't be fair. They should be higher so they can, if they lose that, they could still be in the playoff. I don't know, but so these matchups are intriguing though. No matter how you shake them up. I would love to watch Tennessee and Indiana play. That would be an exciting game.
What do you think would happen there? Well, what's your prediction if they play? It's in Knoxville. If that all came to fruition,
which that'd be huge for Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins that game. Yeah, I think they win. I think the defense would be able to slow down Indiana's offense. I don't think that Indiana could get past Tennessee. I think teams Indiana could beat on this list. I think they can maybe beat Miami. I think they could beat Penn State.
Yeah.
I think they could beat Boise State.
I think they could beat Notre Dame.
They can maybe. What about that Penn State Notre Dame game? That would be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah,
that would be very interesting. It would be at State College. I mean, until Penn State can actually win a big game, I just have trouble picking them.
Yeah,
they can't ever win a big game. So,
is there somebody that's not in here that you think should have been? Like, should Texas A&M be in here over somebody?
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Texas A&M is on the heels of getting smoked at South Carolina.
Yeah, they are.
I got to give that a week or two to get over before I could put them back in.
Did you pick South Carolina? Didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You picked the Gamecocks. I went with the Aggies. You got me on that one. You're getting me a lot. I went 5-7 on my picks last week. It was embarrassing. Yeah. But here's the real question. I think is can anybody beat Oregon?
Yeah, I agree. Oregon's really good.
Who do you think all right, so let's say Tennessee beats Indiana, they got Oregon. Can Tennessee beat Oregon?
I think Tennessee could beat Oregon. I'm not saying they're going to beat Oregon, but I think they could beat Oregon.
Yeah. I
do. I think Tennessee's going to come in a little more tested than Oregon. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. I think Georgia could beat Oregon. Just because, any team you have to play Kirby Smart late in the year is scary. Right, it's like back when you had to play Nick Saban in the playoffs. That's always a scary game. They're liable to win any of those games.
I think the worst scenario for Oregon would be that they have to play Ohio State again. If Ohio State makes it to that semifinal against Oregon, that's tough to beat the same team twice like that. I think not because Ohio State is that good. I think it's tough to beat a team twice that and that was a close one the first time. So that would be a tough one.
I agree. And Ohio State they barely lost that game at Oregon, and they have they have a roster that could compete without question. I agree with you there. I think Ohio State could easily beat Oregon a second time.
Yeah, that's a good question from Mr. Fortune. Is Boise State worthy of a playoff spot? Sure, they played Oregon close, but that was week 2, 91st strength of schedule. Good research there by J.R. Fortune.
Way to get into stats,
JR. Golly, statistician coming in strong. I like that. Let's hire this guy as a statistician for the show.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I don't know if Boise State. I mean, they are what do they call it, the group of five. They're kind of the top team coming out of the group of five. They're going to be a conference champion for whatever conference they're in. I can't think right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I know. I'd love to see Army in there. I'm biased towards Army because of you. But I mean,
Army's number 25 in this whole ranking, and they have not trailed the entire year.
Yeah,
they're 8-0, and they have not trailed once.
They have
a horrific strength of schedule. So that's
sure.
Definitely that's what's holding them back, and I get that. But at the same time, we say, well, Indiana can only play the teams they play, and then they get to Army, and Army literally has not trailed, and also has blown everybody out of the water. They have killed teams,
just killed them, taking them to the shed. Yeah. Army has been doing it all year long. It's I mean, I wouldn't want to play Army no matter who I am. I think they got something going on, and they're in there. And I know that the strength of schedule is not great, but I mean, again, they can help us what they've got. So they're like, hey, we're just going to kill everybody. And then when you give us somebody good to play, then
we'll see.
We'll show you what we got. I think they would be competitive. I don't know if they can hang with an Oregon or a or a Georgia or in those teams, but I mean, I think they could hang with Penn State. I think they can hang with Indiana.
We're about to find out when they play Notre Dame in a couple of weeks. I think they could hang with like a Boise State. Yeah.
We'll
find out in a couple of weeks.
It's great. Well, thank you guys. Let us know in the comments what you're thinking. We got a lot of comments coming in, which we appreciate. The rankings are. It's the first week. A lot of football to be played, Caleb. A lot of things can happen.
A lot coming. There's going to be a ton of changes. I can't wait for it. And you could just look at the schedule and look at the teams that play each other and know that there's going to be a ton of changes, even if there's no upsets, because a lot of these teams have to play each other.
Yeah. Look at a lot of comments coming in. I love this. You guys chiming in here.
Look at Justin. Now that's funny. Army, like BYU, has no quality losses, so that's holding them back. I agree.
It's all about those quality losses. How good can you lose?
Penn State knows how to handle a quality loss and go straight to the playoffs.
Good job, Penn State, losing with great quality. My gosh, yeah. If Penn State is in the SEC, Caleb, what's their record?
It's hard to tell because there's certain teams that have had tougher schedules than others. It's a big conference now, so the parity is not always the same schedule. But say they have to play Georgia's schedule.
Yeah.
And Penn State had to go on the road to Alabama. They caught Tennessee at Happy Valley, and then they had to go back on the road to Ole Miss. Oh, and they played Clemson to start the game at a neutral site. I mean, Penn State hadn't won a game of that caliber. It seems like in 100 years. I know it's not been that long, but I want to say James Franklin's like 1-10 against the top five.
Or worse.
Or worse. Bad. You can make an argument Penn State would be a 4-loss team just off those 4 games I rattled off that Georgia's playing. I'm not saying they would be. Maybe they would win one of those, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. If Penn State if they have Georgia's schedule or Florida's schedule,
Florida's schedule.
My gosh, it's awful. They're 8-4, maybe. I mean, if they have Florida, if Penn State's playing Ole Miss and Georgia and Alabama and LSU, they're 7-5, 8-4. I mean, SEC bias, I guess people say SEC. I'm like, it's not SEC bias. It's just freaking reality. Like that's just these teams are just better, and they're better prepared to play each other. So
and the crazy thing is with the Big Ten, a lot of the schools, Penn State's a prime example. You can lose a game, and then still get in. You can lose your one and only chance at a big game, and you're still in the playoffs. It's like no big deal because you're going to play a lot of weak competition coming through. But I'll say this: I think the Big Ten at the top is strong as the SEC, or as anybody. Oregon, Ohio State, those teams. It's just after that, there's this dramatic drop off, and it's hard to tell where Penn State is because of how they can't ever win the game against Oregon or Ohio State or a good Michigan team, but then they always lose the drop off of the rest of the Big Ten. So it's very challenging to figure out where Penn State is.
Yeah, and it was surprising to see USC do so poorly in the Big Ten. We thought they would be better, and they are
definitely
they're struggling. It's bad. So Oregon walked in and said, "Hey, we're just going to go ahead and take over the Big Ten. Thanks for letting us in." And I can't wait to see what happens. All right, we got a lot of comments coming in. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you're following us on Honorable Mitchell Sports on the Twitter and Facebook and all those places so you can keep up with what's going on here. Jimmy, what's up, Jimmy? First time live listener. Just wanted to say I love the content. It sounded great. Go Big Orange. Love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. We got some picks. We got to pick some games. All right, we got 12 picks. I put out my picks every week in a graphic, and I've gone 11-1, and I've gone 5-7. I might even gone 4-8 one day. It's you just never know what's going to happen in college football. It's awesome. I love it. I kind of like it when I don't do well because that means some things happened over the weekend. So, first game, we'll just go real quick. Colorado at Texas Tech, I think is a worthy game here because Texas Tech, I have been high on all year because they just sort of are sneaking up or under 6-3. Everybody's kind of, I forgot about Texas Tech. Colorado's got to go there and play the Red Raiders. Colorado's favored to win this game, but just by 3. Looks like the people think Colorado gets it done, but I don't know. I'm not so sure. What do you think?
I'm going to take Colorado in this game. To me, this is a very important game for Colorado and Deion Sanders because it's a game against a high quality opponent that is well coached. They play good football, but it's not a game that's coming with the whole hype train that comes around Deion Sanders. Not nearly as much as you see. It's a game where they've got to go down on the road and play some serious football. And I think they get it done. They've got 2 really good players. We've talked a lot about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. So I think, and if they can win that game, it's a really big win for Colorado. It's a bigger win than will hit the media for the state of their program. It's a good litmus test for the state of that program.
It is, yeah. I'm just gonna be different than you. I'm just gonna say Texas Tech wins at home. Okay. Like Colorado is good. They are good. I got them ranked in my top 25. They're a good team.
Yeah.
Competition has been average, I guess, for them. But Texas Tech, I think, I don't know. They just keep finding ways to win games that are not huge games, but they're, I'm taking the Red Raiders. I don't have a good reason for it, but it's a home game. We'll take them.
Yeah.
So another game here that, again, doesn't really matter, but it's going to be a close one, is Duke versus NC State. I like Duke. I think they should have won. They had a close game against, who was it the other day? They've had a good season. They're a good team. I think they go to NC State and win. Grayson McCall is done with football, it looks like. And
hate that.
Bummer. NC State, high hopes for them at the beginning of the year, but just, they still got a winning record. I think they're like 5-4 or something like that. Yeah, 5-4. So, but Duke, I'm taking the Blue Devils to go on the road and win this in-state matchup here.
I'm taking Duke. I live close to both of these schools, so this is a game that'll get a lot of attention amongst people I interact with on a daily basis. And I think Duke's a better team. I'm not sold on NC State. NC State's not that good of a team. Not nearly as good as people thought they were. Duke is a pretty good team. Duke played Miami really tough. I mean, that game got away from them late, but they had a very good chance of beating Miami. And then Miami ends up with one of the all-time covers. I think they covered 21.5, and they won by like 22 late in the game. And it sounds like, that was a blowout. It really wasn't. That Duke had a lead late in the fourth quarter, and Miami just absolutely went nuts at the end of that game with one of the all-time bad beats if you had Duke plus the points. But it doesn't take away from the fact Duke's still a good team, and I would take them.
Yeah, very cool. They've come in with Mike Elko leaving and going to A&M. Manny Diaz comes in with a great, pretty good track record as a coach, doing well. It was SMU that I was thinking of that they didn't, that they should have beaten. They had them at the end. They went for 2 at the end instead of tying the game, lost the game instead of going into overtime. So played them well. SMU, pretty highly touted team at this point. So we're both taking Duke in that. That's good. We'll go on to the next pick, but who was it? David mentioned here, David Miller. You fellas need to talk about Heisman faves. That's a great idea. We might, if there's time at the end of the show, we might just quickly give us a quick who our top 5 Heisman people are. But next,
how about Clemson, Virginia Tech is what I see next.
Yeah.
There.
Well,
I don't know.
I would have said Clemson by a mile 2 weeks ago.
I would have too.
But now I don't know. I think Clemson wins the game. I think they I think that last game shook them up. I think they're like, holy crap, what what are we doing? Like we cannot be dropping games to these folks. I mean, Louisville, again, I think Louisville, I don't think they're that great either. So Clemson should have won that game. Yeah, I'm taking Clemson to go up there and redeem themselves up there in Blacksburg and send the Hokies packing.
Yeah, I think so. I think Clemson goes up there and wins. I think they go up there and win. We'll see. I tell you what, poor Dabo said he went to vote and he couldn't even vote. His son somehow, they have the same name, and his son voted and they thought it was him and they stopped him from voting. And he said, they're shipping me out of this state. I can't even vote.
Poor old Dabo. He can't even vote in his own state anymore. It's so bad. They're 6-2. Everybody's upset because they're 6-2. I'm like, I mean, Clemson fans, I think they support Dabo. They're behind Dabo, and they should be. I think he's a great coach. You can't win a national championship every year. Like, you have to. I mean,
you can't.
You just got. It's going to be okay, Clemson fans. You guys are going to be fine.
Dabo takes the fan criticism harder than I think anybody in the country. God, he wears that fan criticism.
He does, like Tyler from Spartanburg. You remember that?
Tyler, God, I'd love to have Tyler on this show. That'd be electric.
Tyler, give us a call. We want to talk about it. Maybe we'll get Dabo on the show. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
That would be great.
So we're both picking Clemson.
Great guest.
Right?
Yeah, I'm picking Clemson. Clemson.
Is it true, Luke Jackson? Is it true Josh is getting a tattoo of me? Yeah, of course it's true. That's I've got tattoos of all kinds of people that I've never met on all over my body. Luke, if I'm,
you guys don't want to see him, trust me.
No, you don't want to see him. If I remember right, Luke is the guy that has the tattoo of Heupel on his thigh after we beat Bama, I think. And then maybe went and got another tattoo of Tony Vitello after we won the I didn't do anything. After they won the World Series. So Luke, love it. That's good stuff.
Wow.
Actually, Luke, you know what? I would love for you to get a tattoo of me somewhere else on your body.
Oh, don't do that. There's so many better people to get a tattoo of.
It'd be mainly forehead. Like the whole tattoo would be just like forehead would be the most of what you would see, and then a little bit of face. That's great. Okay, next pick as we go off the rails here. Washington at Penn State. Oh, Caleb. I mean, talk about Penn State not being good enough. You got Washington coming in. Maybe this is. I mean, can Washington? Can they beat the Nittany Lions?
No, because Washington stinks, and Penn State beats every team that's not a top 10 matchup, and they lose every game that's a top 10 matchup. So no, if Washington was in the top 10, it would be an automatic win. Don't even turn it on. But they're not, so Penn State's going to win.
Boom, done, easy. Washington beat USC and Michigan.
Yeah, both of those teams have turned out to be poor.
That's true. They are poor. So you're taking the Nittany Lions to go 8-1 and continue their streak of beating mediocre teams.
Yep, and head straight to the playoffs with their good loss.
You love it. All right, great. I will ride with the Nittany Lions as well.
Are you?
13-point spread. Yeah, I think they may even cover that spread. Yeah, they're going to be mad after their loss to Ohio State. Take it out on the Huskies.
Love it. BYU at Utah.
This would have been a much bigger game if Utah had turned out to be as good as people thought they were. And I'll go ahead and say I knew all along Utah wasn't very good. I had them ranked way back in the 23rd, 24th at one point when they were like 12th by the AP poll. They don't know anything at the AP. I know football. All right. And Utah, they're not just because they got Cam Rising over there in his 12th year of college football doesn't mean that they're going to have a good year. They're 4-4. They are even. They're about to have a losing record after being predicted to win the Big 12.
Wow.
BYU goes in there and spanks that Utah butt all over the place.
Spank that Ute booty.
Right. You got some Mormons versus Mormons here in Utah, and I'm taking the blue Mormons over the red ones.
Oh, I'm going to go with you. I like BYU. BYU is a really good team. The game game's scary. In Utah, this is like just, the Super Bowl of the year, right? And if you play at Utah, a chance to ruin BYU's perfect season is the absolute savior. This is the savior to you guys completely underperforming, right? And the coaches are telling them that. Like, hey, guys, if we beat BYU, the rest of it all goes away. Everything's good. So I expect Utah to come out ready to play for this one, but BYU they've proven to be too good of a team. They're no fluke.
They're not. Their offense is incredible. Their
They're
offense
good.
is unstoppable. It would take a top defense such as Tennessee's or Ohio State's or somebody to pull them back. So yeah, taking the Cougars there on the road at Utah, going to get the win to move to 9-0 and probably further up in my rankings because I'm telling you what, they're the real deal.
They are.
Yeah, pretty cool. They're the Mormons, but they got the first ever Jewish quarterback. Did you see that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, first ever Jewish starting quarterback in the school's history. So that's what we're talking about now. That school full of Mormons, you got a Jewish kid. It's like, I'll come play quarterback for you. Is that cool? They're like, sure. So they're
if you're good, sure.
Are you good? Yeah. So come on in. Okay. Who we got next, buddy?
Let's see. So we've got Michigan. Miami at Georgia Tech.
There it is.
Yep, I was one off. So Miami at Georgia Tech. This one's easy for me. Miami's going to kill Georgia Tech. I think.
I'm with you. Georgia Tech, a team that I had high hopes for. They, because they won that first game against Florida State over there in Ireland. Everybody's like, "Whoa, wait a minute, Georgia Tech might be for real." Well, it turns out Florida State just sucks real bad. But Georgia Tech, still they beat Duke, a team that we think is pretty good. They beat UNC. But they got losses to Louisville, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. They just don't have it together. Miami, Drew, if you go back down real quick, if you don't mind, right there to the last five. So this Miami schedule, they beat Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State, Duke. That's not a hard schedule, but that's not like a cakewalk. Those are teams. Louisville just beat Clemson, right? Virginia Tech has a couple big wins under their belt. Duke got, so they're finding ways to win. They put 53 points on Duke, 52 on Louisville. They score points. They're going to score a ton against Georgia Tech. So yeah, give me the Canes.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I'm getting more and more interested in Miami as the year goes on. They keep they survived at Cal, but the Cal win was a good win. That's so far to go from Miami to Berkeley.
Yeah.
Come on.
Talk about being out of sorts. What are we doing? Why is Cal in the ACC? That's a whole all right. I got a whole write-up. I got a document on my computer, Caleb, about how the conferences should be aligned. Okay, so we'll bring this up another time. I've been doing my homework. These conferences are wild. What is SMU doing in the ACC? What is Stanford doing in the ACC? What's Oregon doing in the Big Ten? This is nonsense.
It is nonsense. It is nonsense. And I wish the Pac-12 would get back together because that's how it should be.
It could be a great conference out there. It was great when they were in their heyday. Okay. All right, we're halfway through our picks here. We got some good ones coming up. So, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube.
The best to last. Michigan, Indiana.
Yeah. Okay.
I got Indiana on this game still. I don't think Michigan's very good, and Indiana has got way too much momentum for an average team to beat them. A good team can beat them, but not an average Michigan team.
Can you imagine a year ago saying that, hey, next year Indiana is going to be a 2-touchdown favorite over the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines? What?
No, I can't. I really cannot. I really can't imagine Michigan being 5-4 and Florida State being 1-7.
What is going on in the world? I don't know. But I look. All right, let's look at Indiana's victories. Okay, Maryland. These are the last five. Northwestern. Okay, Nebraska just killed them. Washington beat them. Michigan State beat them. But look at the margin of victory. They're just like Miami. They're just putting up insane points. And they got this quarterback, Curtis Rourke, I believe is his name. And when he's not playing, they brought in Taven Jackson, who was the backup at Tennessee, highly recruited at Tennessee a couple years ago, and then transferred once they signed Nico. Taven Jackson goes to Indiana as the backup. When he comes in, they still keep rolling.
Yeah. So I think with Indiana, on the argument against Indiana, again, I go back to look at those last five. All we can see is the last five, but who in the SEC would not have won those last five? I don't think Auburn maybe wins all those games. We don't have to go through all of them, but at least probably 80% of the SEC is undefeated there. The argument for Indiana is when you look at Nebraska, that Nebraska game, they beat Nebraska to death, and Nebraska almost beat Ohio State. Right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That margin of victory is significant.
Yeah.
And that leads to a good argument for Indiana. But when I look at Indiana's full schedule, honestly, do you think Kentucky loses a game? here? Does Texas A&M lose one of these games?
I mean, Kentucky starts off 5-0 with that schedule, 6-0.
Yeah.
Maybe I say 6-0, and then they probably lose to Nebraska, maybe Washington, pick one up. Yeah, I think they could easily be 7-2.
I know it's SEC bias, but does Ole Miss lose a game here? Like, tell me a team in the SEC that's really losing games right here.
Ole Miss does not lose a game with this schedule either. No.
But I mean,
and Ole Miss, if to be fair, if Ole Miss had that schedule and they were undefeated, they would be ranked as high as Indiana, right? I mean, it would be the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, Indiana, as well as there's innocent until proven guilty. All right, you guys look amazing. You look like you could kill some people. You've been killing the small schools. Can you kill the big schools? We'll see if they can compete. But I think they win this game absolutely against Michigan. Michigan just doesn't quite have it together. And Hoosiers win. I think they scored 40+ points again. Absolutely.
Agreed. So speaking of the SEC, next game is Oklahoma at Missouri. We're getting into the slate here. Man, this is a tough one.
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma is so rough, but Missouri is 6-2. The committee got them in their top 25 there. I got Missouri out. I think they're overrated. I don't think they're very good. They do have a good defense. And their problem is that they can't score enough points, which is ironic because you really thought Missouri's offense would be what carries them with Brady Cook and Luther Burden the third, but they just can't do it. So Oklahoma going at Missouri here. Missouri favored looks like just by no, is it Missouri favored just 1.5. For the predictors got them winning.
I have no idea.
It seems like
these teams are scary.
Seems like a toss-up. But
I'm taking Missouri at home.
Taking Missouri at home. I like it. Yeah. I mean, look at Oklahoma's life. They just beat Maine, for goodness sakes, 59-14. Maine has a football team. That's news to me. Oklahoma, they lost to Ole Miss, lost to South Carolina, lost to Texas. Not just lost, but got absolutely stomped. Scored 3 points against Texas, 9 against South Carolina, only 14 against Ole Miss. That's embarrassing. You know what?
That's
but
rough.
Missouri got crushed by Alabama. They got shut out 34-0 by Alabama. So, but I'm with you though. I'm going to ride with Mizzou, the misery there, the Tigers, and because they have an off week, they had a bye week, so they had some time to rest. Oklahoma, all they did was beat Maine, so we'll take Missouri to win this, go 7-2, and continue to pretend like they're good at football. So,
I like it. Next game I see is Florida at Texas.
Hey, Florida. I'm telling you, it's not going to be a cakewalk for Texas to go. I think it's going to be a close one. They think the spread at 21.5. I'm taking that. I don't think Texas wins that big against them. I think Texas wins the game, but I think it's close.
So my assumption is Lagway is not playing. Or
is he? Okay, I know he got hurt, but is he out? He's out for this game?
Or if he plays, he's going to be with some significant he's going to be significantly limited.
If Lagway doesn't play,
I'm taking Texas.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking Texas to win the game no matter what. I mean, Texas is still, they're still Texas. They did squeak by Vandy 2 weeks ago, but they just had an off week. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to beat Florida. Florida's, I think, going to make it competitive at times. They're going to sneak in there. If Lagway is playing, I think they cover that 21-point spread. If not, then it can be a bloodbath. So
I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Two things about Florida. One, if Lagway doesn't get hurt, they very likely might beat Georgia. I'm not going to say they would have, but that game was tight.
Yeah.
And when he got hurt, the game was over at that moment. If he does not get hurt, I think there's a very good chance they end up beating Georgia.
Yeah. Some of that is just that rivalry is just intense. It doesn't matter who is doing how they're doing that year. It's always going to be.
It is. And so a lot of talk about Billy Napier getting fired. They've played really well the last 4 weeks. I mean, you can't ignore that, how far that football team's come since they played against Miami. And it's unfortunate for them that they've lost 2 quarterbacks. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hearing all this talk on Feinbaum about Lane Kiffin maybe going to Florida. Okay, if you get Kiffin, maybe you take him. But I'm higher on Billy Napier than most people because that team has played some serious football the last 3, 4, 5 weeks.
I'm actually with you. I don't think it would be smart to fire Billy Napier. I think you need to let him continue to build because they're right there. Like I mentioned with Kentucky, they're right there.
They had Tennessee beat in Neyland.
They did. Yeah.
I mean, they did. They ended up losing that game in double overtime. It's definitely overtime.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, all the comments there, people believing that Florida is going to get just boat raced by.
Because Lagway's hurt, I think they will get boat raced. Who wouldn't get boat raced with their third string quarterback?
Yeah, Tennessee would.
Tennessee definitely would.
Yeah, sorry, Navy. Who was just on the show.
Yes.
But okay, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. I'm excited about this game. This is going to be
it's a huge game.
Who would have thought this game would be so important to
massive.
The SEC? This is incredible. I'm so fired up about this. But I mean, the Gamecocks got to go to Nashville, which I've never said that before. They've got to go to Nashville to play at Vanderbilt. It's going to be a tough environment over there. I don't know. This Diego Pavia guy, he's just like finding ways to win. Vanderbilt's they're 3.5 point underdogs. It looks like, and people are thinking the Gamecocks win. I think it's going to be close. I tell you what, I'll go first. I'm not picking against South Carolina after they stomped Oklahoma and stomped Texas A&M. Those are two solid wins. Even though Oklahoma struggles, it's still Oklahoma. Those are two solid wins. Carolina lost to Alabama by 2 points. Look at that. I mean, they got beat bad by Ole Miss, but I don't think that Vandy, they're a great team. They're better than they've been in a long time, maybe better than they ever will be. But I look to South Carolina to win this game and further cement themselves as a formidable foe in the conference.
Oh, I like it, but I'm going to take Vandy. That quarterback Diego is the real deal. He is so good. And also, there's some magic with Vandy. They got some magic going on they've got a ton of confidence. Vanderbilt has more confidence they've ever had. And then South Carolina is coming off a massive win. They finally kind of got over the hump this season, got that big win. I think there's going to be a little energy carryover from that, having to go on the road. And I'm going to take Vandy.
I like it. That's a great pick. I feel partially responsible for. I need to pick South Carolina because I've been rough on them all year, and they've been in my comments all over me. And it's warranted. I should say it's warranted because they have outperformed and surprised me, and they've been a lot better. So I'm not picking against them this time. My boy Burke Floyd, he's an actor. And he went to South Carolina. He was going to join us for the show, but he can't. He's on set filming a movie right now. So he will be maybe next week. But he's a Gamecock. This one's for you, Burke. So
there you go.
Gamecocks. All right, two big games here at the end. We're going to close with two big games. These are huge, right here. Alabama, LSU. So essentially a playoff elimination game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, loser goes home. Winner is still in it. So what do you think? Give me the breakdown, Caleb. Let's go.
Oh, man. So I tell you what, I'm going to take Alabama in this game. I'm taking Bama. I don't know. We'll see. I lost a little faith with LSU at the Texas A&M game, the way that game got away from them, and they did not punch back when momentum got away from them. It's like they started getting nervous. They just didn't seem to respond in the way I was expecting them to respond. I'm going to take Alabama. I really don't know. It's a total toss-up to me. Obviously, Night and Death Valley is really tough place to play, but I'm still going to take Bama. What about you?
You're rolling with the tide. Well, I do feel like it's a toss-up. Since you're going Alabama, I may just go the other way because I think that it could go either way. I'll take LSU. The night game there in Death Valley, tough to win there. If anybody can do it, it is Alabama. But I'm leaning on Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback to make some big plays. Kyron Lacey, the receiver there, following the footsteps of some of the other great LSU receivers. I think it's a big game for LSU, which makes this race even more interesting for them to. If LSU wins this, Drew, if you can scroll down a little bit to the last 5 games there. I mean, look at LSU. They got that loss to A&M. That was tough, but then they beat Arkansas. Had to go to overtime to beat Ole Miss. They had a close one against South Carolina. They just barely won that. And they lost to USC. I don't know if LSU's as good as their record even says they are. I mean, the games they have won: Nicholls State, UCLA, South Alabama. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just banking on LSU at night that they show up, that they play. Alabama doesn't have, their A game, and LSU gets to win. That's I'm gonna roll with the Tigers.
Which coach is under more pressure, do you think?
I would say Brian Kelly is under more pressure because he's been there longer. Kalen DeBoer, at least it's his first year, and while he does have a couple tough losses, he's got a couple signature wins as well, including Georgia. He's got time, right? Brian Kelly's been there for a little while. It's kind of like, all right, you need to start bringing LSU up to the top of the conference year after year, and he's done pretty good job. It's just I think it's a little more pressure for him because after LSU or after Alabama, who do they have after Alabama? They've got I don't know. They got a couple. Thank you, Drew.
They've got Florida, which was supposed to be a big game, and that all depends on the Florida quarterback Lagway. Vanderbilt, that suddenly is like a tough team, and then they should beat Oklahoma.
Yeah. All right, so
we'll see.
You're taking the Tide.
Roll the Tide. We'll see.
Okay, do you want to give it a roll Tide? You want to say that?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right.
No, hard pass.
What I think is the game of the week here: Georgia at Ole Miss. The Dogs going up there to Hotty Toddy. And Oxford. What do you think?
God, it's hard. It's hard to know what to think about Ole Miss.
I know, man.
With Georgia, that's one thing I give Georgia and Kirby Smart a ton of credit for is that you just know what you're going to get with them, right? They're never going to come in and just lay an egg. Like even at Alabama, they came roaring back. You just know that they're going to come in every week ready to play hard-nosed and play a good effort of football. Yeah. Ole Miss is all over the place. And so with Ole Miss, if they come out and play really well, I think it's a toss-up. They could beat Georgia or Georgia could win the game. If Ole Miss comes out and they lay it flat like they did against Kentucky, they're going to absolutely steamrolled. So I'm going to take Georgia based off the consistency that Kirby Smart puts on the field week in and week out. I'm going to take Georgia. They're just a safer play. What about you?
I want to take Georgia because as a Tennessee fan, I don't want Georgia to have just lost to Ole Miss before they take on Tennessee in Athens.
Me either.
But I'm gonna roll with Ole Miss to get the upset here.
Are you really
in Oxford? I'm gonna do it. I think that Georgia they've won some close games here. They got look at October 12th, 2024, right here. They played Mississippi State 41-31 against Mississippi State is awful. Georgia's letting these teams stay around too much. Kentucky, Mississippi State. Solomon against Texas, Florida hung around too much. Florida is great. Georgia is great. Like they're a great team. I got them ranked number 2. I have a hunch that maybe they're not a number 2 team. I think maybe the mistakes Carson Beck has been making, they're just not quite there. I think Jackson Dart just comes out and just rips it there with their offense. I'm taking Hotty Toddy Ole Miss to upset Georgia, send everybody into a complete spiral and panic mode, and give me the Rebels Hotty Toddy.
I don't hate it. You can't hate it. You can't hate that pick. And a lot of people in the comments saying if Carson Beck throws 3 picks again, they're going to get killed. Yeah, I agree. I made my pick with Georgia, assuming he's going to somehow get off the 3 interception a game train. I agree. Yeah. If he throws 3 picks again, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble.
They're in serious trouble. Ole Miss's offense is too good to survive that.
Yeah, Brett says, I guarantee they will have players that fall down a lot. That's interesting.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I know. They can't do it anymore, supposedly, right? They're putting a rule in place where they're going to be. I forgot how it goes exactly, but there's something going on where.
Yeah, they basically got when it happens, they got 3 tiers. So run out of show, can't get too into it, but they've got 3 tiers of punishment. Here's the thing, my takeaway from that: why does it always have to be Greg Sankey that comes out and actually makes college football better? Where the hell's the NCAA?
Where's everybody else?
Where's the NCAA? They want to do all this analysis and come up with all this issue stuff. Look, Greg Sankey just came out and said, I'm taking action. So, good for him to stop that crap. Good for Georgia to not have to deal with it this week. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll say last thing I'll say to your point, the Alabama LSU game and the Georgia Ole Miss game have major implications for other teams in the playoff who have common opponents, right?
Yeah.
Like if Alabama wins and Georgia wins, if you're a Tennessee fan, that's a huge difference than if LSU wins and Ole Miss wins. That completely changes the whole framework. So that's where it gets really exciting as a college football fan to see all the games.
It is exciting. I love it. And I love it when things go crazy. It's just way more exciting when things don't go like you think they're going to go and upsets are made. And I know our producer Drew has to leave in a second. So Drew, if you need to go, you take off and we'll finish the I think we need to hit real quick before we're done the Heisman, our kind of Heisman picks. So just a quick, and maybe we can dive into it further next. I was kind of waiting until we get closer into to that time to talk in depth about it. But as it sits right now, who would be your pick to win the Heisman if it was given out today, Wednesday, November 6th? Who do you give it to?
I'm picking
Nico Iamaleava.
I'm just kidding. I'm not picking Nico. I'm not that much of a homer. I would pick Cam Ward. He has been explosive. Their offense is electric. They're totally the reason why Miami is in the situation they're in is because their offense of Cam Ward is so good. If Cam Ward got hurt, I think you'd have a Florida State, same situation Florida State found themselves in last year where all of a sudden they're terrible. So I'm taking Cam Ward right off the get-go. That's the guy I have right now.
That's a great point. Jordan Travis going down last year, and people were like, whoop, they're not going to be able to be the same team. That's absolutely true if Cam Ward goes down. I hope he doesn't because he's incredible. He's a great player.
Me too.
I'm with you. He's my pick for the Heisman Trophy right now. I would 100% pick Cam Ward right now to win the Heisman. And I think if he continues, if they don't lose a game or if they lose one in the championship, I think he wins. I think he runs away with it. Looks like some ESPN's got Travis Hunter in there.
Travis Hunter, that's a good one. I mean, I get that.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty. Yeah. All great picks. And Curtis Rourke from Indiana moving up there. Pretty interesting. I'm not just saying this, but I like all those guys, but I would add Bryson Daly. At what point do you say Bryson Daly, quarterback at Army, should be in the mix? Maybe not to say he would win it, but is he a top 5? Is he top 10? Where would you put Bryson Daly?
I would put him in New York. He deserves to be in New York. He deserves to be there. He's played incredible. They're a national showcase right now. He is one of the absolute top players. You could see when he went out of the game last week. He didn't play last week. He's got undisclosed injury or illness going on. And they weren't even close to the same team. They were not even close to the same team on offense. And he's setting record after record in terms of rushing, and he can throw at Army. He deserves to at least be there in New York as part of it. And college football wants him. They need him to be there. That's a positive story for college football, one that I would support through and through. I'll tell you somebody else that I think could – I'm not saying they should win. Actually, Brett just said it for me. Sampson. I think Dylan Sampson is a sneaky contender. And again, I'm putting contender as Dylan Sampson like he goes to New York. I'm not necessarily brings back the Heisman. But, I mean, this guy just set the rushing record for Tennessee running backs. And, I mean, there's like 5 games left or something.
Yeah, he's on pace to break the SEC record and probably will do it. And I think if he does that, he's about to go over 1,000 yards. He's the top SEC running back. If you're the number 1 running back in the SEC, you got to be at least be probably in consideration. Caleb Johnson, I think from Iowa, has also got 19 touchdowns, maybe rush touchdowns, and that 19. That's incredible. Genty's got, I don't know if he's got that many. If he had 20, but I mean, Ashton Genty is a freak. Is ridiculous.
Yeah,
if Boise State,
a great stat by David Miller. Genty's on pace to beat Barry Sanders' all-time season rushing record. I mean, like, how does that guy not get more looks at Heisman, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you beat now. Genty's going to get more games, more at bats here than Barry did then, but still impressive. And same for Dylan. He gets to play more games, so he score more touchdowns. But I would put Dylan up there. It would be great if we could have 5 in New York. I don't know how many they're going to have. Sometimes it's 3.
Yeah,
right, sometimes it's
I don't know
4.
why they just don't put 5 up there. It's great notoriety for the schools. It's a phenomenal experience for the individual kids that get to go. Like just put 5 up there.
Yeah. I think if I'm looking at a Heisman Trophy, Travis Hunter is an incredible athlete and is awesome. But I don't know. I mean, is Colorado's they're 6-2. They're probably going to lose another game or two. Like that you got to win is what your team has to win. Plus they got Shador, who, Travis without Shador is Travis is good and vice versa. I don't know, but I know that Boise State is who they are because of Ashton Jeanty. I know that Miami is who they are because of Cam Ward. I know that honestly Tennessee is who they are because of Dylan Sampson. I mean, Nico's a great quarterback, but he's young. But without Dylan being an absolute beast, that doesn't happen. So Oregon is who they are because of Dylan Gabriel. But could you plug in another great quarterback and him have success there? Probably, because they have so many people around them. So is the Heisman Trophy, is it an MVP award? Is it the best athlete? Is it the best? There's so many different ways people interpret what the Heisman is.
Yeah.
I would have Cam Ward. I would have Ashton Jeanty. I would have Bryson Daly. And eventually maybe Dylan Sampson if he continues on the road. And I would have Dylan Gabriel, and then I would have Travis Hunter maybe kind of in that number 6 spot, I think.
Who do you think has had the best Heisman moment? I mean, the Heisman so often comes down to that moment, that Heisman moment. I'm not sure we've seen one yet. I think that may be still to come. But the closest one to me maybe is Cam Ward throwing the Hail Mary against Virginia Tech. I think it was Virginia Tech. Yeah. That's the closest one I've got. But I don't know. Have you seen anything that's like, okay, this is the hello Heisman?
The hello Heisman moment. Not really, honestly. I think that the closest one I think of is Cam Ward, and it could be that play against Virginia Tech, which was a controversial call, I know. But also, I think you could pick a few other plays of his that are just him just like shaking off some defender and like spinning around and running to the right and then launching a touchdown pass down the field where he's just a beast. I think you could do a little highlight compilation of some of those, and it would be pretty impressive. But I can't think of a moment right now. I'm sure there will be one to come. It could even be something with like Curtis Rourke in Indiana, who, when they play Ohio State, has some big play, and
especially if it wins,
end up winning. Yeah, that would be
it's like big, a play that puts them over the edge against Ohio State. Ooh.
Yeah, and some of these guys that get to play in their conference championship games, have a leg up as well. So if you get there, I think the Heisman's after the conference championship. Is that right?
Yes,
pretty sure
it is. It's on the Army-Navy game weekend because if
right.
Bryson Daly was getting to go there as a talker, like I don't know, do they get a Black Hawk to take him from DC where the game is to New York or whatever? So
how epic for Bryson Daly from West Point to get helicoptered from Washington DC up to New York to be part of the Heisman. He gets out. He's all camoed up, camo suit, and just comes. I mean, all black camo. Like, oh my gosh.
I know. I think, for Daly, he's got to do something serious in the Notre Dame game because that's the one game that's going to be nationally televised. It should be the Army-Navy game and Notre Dame, but Army-Navy is too close to the Heisman. They will already have their mind. It'll be picked. Like it'll actually be closed, the balloting. So his moment has got to come against Notre Dame. If they beat Notre Dame and he has a crazy play and rushes, has a big stat line, I think you'll see Bryson Daly all of a sudden pop in. He will be popped in.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it's that's a great point. And it's possible that Army plays Navy in their American Athletic Conference Championship.
Yeah.
First, right?
Yeah.
And then plays the regular Army-Navy game. How wild is that? Now, Navy now with 2 losses, I think. So they're kind of falling back, and Tulane might be up there to play against Army in that championship game. I'll have to see how it shakes out. I kind of hope it is Tulane because it seems weird for me to have Army-Navy play in the conference championship and then play again in the Army-Navy game. It's like,
it is. And it's not going to be the same because the game's going to get overshadowed by all the other conference championships, right?
Yeah.
That's part of what makes Army-Navy so special. It's the only game that weekend. Everyone focuses in on it. So I kind of hope it's Tulane too, but we'll see. I mean, Army still got to beat. They have a tough matchup this week against North Texas. So a lot still to come and a lot of Heisman moments still out there. I can't wait for it.
A lot of good football, guys, going on. Sounding it's good. And Derek, I saw Derek chime in here about my shirt, Mississippi Ale House. He sent me some a couple cold ones and a couple shirts, real nice, and ripping Renaissance Bank today. Sponsors for me have been real good to me, and allow me to keep making my videos and doing my thing. So, and being a big celebrity like Caleb has always wanted to be. So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
So great show. Great show. It's an hour long of just the best hour of your life, ladies and gentlemen. Tuning in here to the Josh and Caleb Pick'em Week 11. We don't have a name. Somebody come up with a name for this show, for goodness sakes. Mancuso brothers. Josh's better than Caleb show. I mean,
Almost New Heights.
Love it. That's good. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Caleb, you got any last thoughts for us?
No, I'm happy for you that you're such a celebrity. If we go to another game together and anybody talks bad about you, I'm instantly going to Gronk spike their phone. So
yes,
just be prepared for that. And other than that, I can't wait for another great weekend of college football.
Going to pull Jason Kelsey. Kelsey.
I'm going to pull a Jason Kelsey. That's right.
Gronk spike someone's phone.
Yeah,
incredible.
That's right.
I love it. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed and you're following Honorable Mention Sports on social media, because that is where you're going to get more content like this as we move forward. If you love my videos, please keep following me. I appreciate that. It's awesome. I got my whole actor, comedian world living over there, but from the sports standpoint, boom, right here. This is where it's at. And we appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. So big week of college football coming up, and we'll see you next week.